Hello and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I am your host, your bartender in the OSR, Eric Tenkar. And today we are going to delve into the Monster Manual for first edition AD&D. And why are we delving into the Monster Manual? Why am I stepping away from the DMG, the Dungeon Master's Guide? I was getting so much fun just going through the DMG because what it is that this came up as a topic on one of our live streams. And somebody brought up that the AD&D 1E Monster Manual didn't have all the alignments that you would expect in AD&D. And what do I mean by that? It's not like it was in White Box or Basic where it's lawful, neutral, and chaos, right? The three-tiered or the three alignment system. And law was basically good, chaos was basically evil, and neutral was, well, the vast majority of the world, right? The vast majority of the world doesn't necessarily pick a side, right? Your average town folk farmer has too much to worry about than good or evil. They're just thinking about survival from one season, 1 year to the next. So the Monster Manual, though, does have, I guess you would say, a 5-axis alignment. So you have lawful good, dwarves, halflings. You have chaotic good, which would be your elves. You got your neutrals, right? Leprechauns, naturally occurring creatures, lizards and stuff. But you have creatures that are lawful evil. You have creatures that are chaotic evil. Let me just check here. Like, owlbears aren't evil, right? They're neutral. Orioles aren't evil. They're neutral. Ogre magi or ogre mage, they're lawful evil. All right, orcs, lawful evil. Now you think of a nightmare, right? The quote evil horse. No, they're not. These demon horses aren't really evil. No, they're neutral with evil tendencies. Now that's something interesting, right? So neutral evil and neutral good is not an alignment in here. I'm going to step back on that in a second. Ogres are an example of your chaotic evil. Now, the lich, or the leech, depending on, I'm going to say lich. We think of a lich as evil, right? I mean, I always thought, you couldn't get more evil than a lich. But you know what? They're not evil. They might be super genius, but they are neutral with evil in parentheses. So it's a tendency. So what are your alignments in the Monster Manual? Well, you have, again, lawful good, chaotic good, lawful evil, chaotic evil, absolute neutral. But as is explained, I guess, on page 6, alignment shows the characteristic bent of a monster to law or chaos, good or evil, or towards neutral behavior, possibly modified by good or evil intent. It is important with regards to the general behavior of the monster when encountered. So, your neutral good, or your neutral evil, or your chaotic neutral and chaotic or lawful neutral, not even part of this. This is a 5 alignment, 5 alignment parentheses 7 alignment, because you do have, like I said, neutral with good in parentheses and neutral with evil in parentheses. But you don't have these absolutes. So alignment was still growing or still evolving when a Monster Manual was being written. Now, the Monster Manual is copyright 1977-1978 by TSR Games. But it's being used with D&D at this point, right? There was no player's handbook. There's no Dungeon Master's Guide. From the foreword, it is with a certain measure of pride that we at TSR are bringing the second part of the new Dungeons and Dragons release, the long-awaited monster manual for AD&D. We are doubly proud of the format of this book, its special hardcover, a first in the gaming world, and another step in our continuing quest for that top quality products. As time goes on, the D&D phenomenon shows no sign of subsiding. Indeed, the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons continues to grow. The trend is very gratifying for us at TSR and encourages us to devote even more time and attention to D&D. Witness this series of advanced Dungeons and Dragons and related materials, playing aids, accessories. So why are they saying that this is the second? Okay. The new Dungeons and Dragons release is the long-awaited monster manual for AD&D. We are doubly proud of the format of this book. And why is this the second part of the new Dungeons and Dragons releases? Because the first part was the basic set. Okay, the basic set was initially written to be a preview of AD&D, but there was nothing to preview. AD&D wasn't written, so a lot of DMs wound up using this book with the basic set, and that is a bit why you don't have the alignments that you would expect. Now, the foreword isn't written by Gary; it's written by Mike Carr. Interesting enough. So, little tidbits that you don't realize when you look back at books that you've had for, 40 years or so. I never realized until it was pointed out that there was no neutral good, there was no neutral evil, there was no chaotic neutral, there was no lawful neutral. Those alignments don't exist in here. Now, there is one creature, as you hear the book pages flipping, that is simply evil. And that is a larva. Larvae are just simply evil. And yes, I somehow lost my connection there. Larvae are simply evil because they are used to create, imps and quasits. So they make the lowest level of the demons and devils. Demons being chaotic evil, devils being lawful evil. There's no neutral evilness. Now I'm going to have to maybe do a little deeper delve and find some more information on this 5 alignment, quasi 7 alignment system. Because like I said, we have neutral with like evil tendencies here. But when it became full non-alignments, I'm going to have to dig into that, find some stuff out. Should be interesting. But I wanted to touch on this because I thought it was an interesting thing to touch upon. Listen, earlier tonight on the blog site, tankcarstavern.com, I have a post detailing where you can find the tavern on different sources of social media. Because diversification is key when it comes to your social media. Okay? Seriously. If you put all your eggs in one basket, you can suddenly find that you have no more basket. That's happened when Google Plus went away, right? Right now it's happening with Parler. Listen, I have a Parler account. I'm not going to miss it. I'm not saying it was full of scum and villainy, but it wasn't full of gaming. So I'm not going to miss it. But I would suggest, just as a side note, that whether you're on Facebook or MeWe, right? These are the big two right now when it comes to gamers. Your main feed is probably your enemy. Groups are where you can make sure, to a large extent, that you're going to be getting posts about gaming, right? I mean, if you want to delve into the politics of the real world, yeah, your main feed is where it's just going to show up from your friends. But I personally don't think it's worth it. But your mileage may vary. But, best advice I have was from one of my real life friends who happens to be in the gaming industry. they are unfollowing all of their Facebook friends. What that basically means is you're not unfriending, but it means that unless they are actually tagged in a post, their shit doesn't pop up. It quiets everything. But you still get notifications for posts and groups that you're active in. So it kind of works. I like the idea. Of course, I had to go through and do that to over 3,000 Facebook friends, and I don't know if I have the energy for that. Maybe I just won't read my main feed. Folks, we are still in the midst of the world of the pandemic. Okay? Use your common sense. You can't protect others before you don't protect yourself. All right? So use your common sense. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. It's where we do live streams. Rach and I picked up a GoPro 9 Black camera, and we'll probably be experimenting with, especially me, doing more stuff on YouTube. Maybe some gaming thoughts as I go for a bit of a walk. Who knows? But yeah, expect to see more content over on youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. So if you want to do me a personal favor, and Bad Mike and Joe the Lawyer and Glenn Hallstrom with Old Man Grognard, subscribe to the channel. All right, and come and participate in our live streams. It's awesome when you do. We really do. We love it. We appreciate it. All right, folks. On that note, I am going to bid thee adieu. Knock on wood. I shall talk with you all tomorrow. Later, folks.